Hey everyone, welcome to this week's PC Gaming News, the show that assumes you want to hear about the recent updates, but don't feel like going through Reddit threads or visiting those awful gaming news websites. I'm sorry, that was mean. Look, I'm just trying to justify the existence of this show. You understand, don't you? This week we've got some major updates for Warhammer 40k Darktide, a review of what to expect from New World's beta next week, details on Path of Exiles' upcoming expansion, and return of its popular Battle Royale. We'll also talk about Final Fantasy XIV's recent explosion and a few other things. But before we jump into the news, a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is being sponsored by Atelier Online. This is a free-to-play adventure RPG that combines features of the previous Atelier games with online play, solo and co-op modes, while also bringing the series to mobile as Atelier celebrates its 20th anniversary. In Atelier Online, main characters of the series, such as Aisha, Totori, and Marie, return to embark on a new adventure, while also giving fans the chance to collect them. The game has an open world, with the elements and monsters of the island changing based on weather and time of day. You can explore in groups of up to 3, with online co-op play. There's over 1,000 items to create as you use your alchemy by finding, collecting, and combining items and recipes to create better items and advance further in the game. There's over 700 outfits for you to customize your characters with all sorts of clothes, weapons, and accessories that will improve stats, change your appearance, and grant new skills. And combat in the game is turn-based, alternating between your team and the enemy, while also allowing for strategic use of special abilities and items that can give you an edge. And again, this game offers new stories and adventures for fans of the Atelier series, as your character starts at the Royal Academy and continues around the world to become the best alchemist while encountering others and paving your own path. So if you're interested in checking out Atelier Online for yourself, you can download and play the game for free using the link in the description below, and using the code will also give you a special free gift. All right, now that the bills have been paid, let's go ahead and jump into the content. First up today, we've got some news for Warhammer 40k Darktide. This game was first revealed in July 2020, and holy hell does it look good. It's from Fat Shark, developers of the Vermintide series, and looks to be taking their successful formula with those games, but bringing it to new parts of the Warhammer universe. So Darktide is a 4-player co-op action game with visceral combat set in 40k's Hive City Terdium. So the game's gonna feature the fast-paced and brutal combat that you expect from this developer, and it will be a co-op adventure as you'll be fighting back hordes of enemies with up to 3 friends, where team composition and collaboration are going to be critical. So far, sounds a lot like Vermintide. Also like Vermintide, Darktide will let you choose a class, customize your skill set and loadout so you can fit to your own playstyle. You'll be able to upgrade your gear, customize your look, you'll level up and become more powerful as you progress through the game. And they also look to build upon the legacy of Vermintide's melee combat, while also adding in gunplay with weapons from the 40k universe and letting you freely swap between the two. So this all sounds great. Like, Vermintide was awesome, and I am excited to try Darktide. Now, originally the game was scheduled to come out this year. However, this week they announced that it's been pushed back until spring 2022. In the announcement, they cite the usual reasons, wanting to release the best possible game, talking about the negative impact that remote work has had on its development, and then also saying that they'll use this extra time to focus on quality and setting the game up for long-term success. As usual with delays, from my end, this is all totally fine. Releasing a higher quality game later is always better than rushing out a lower quality game and then just having us hope that they fix it post-release. I would say first impressions go a long way, and I don't always revisit a game if it's bad the first time I play it, but not just because like I'm unable to imagine the game getting better. Realistically, there's just way too much competition. Like, there are too many good games and not enough time. So if you release something that sucks, good luck getting me to come back and play it again with everything else out there to play. I have some absolutely fantastic memories with Vermintide. I played that game a lot with friends, really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to see how they evolve that formula and take it into some more Warhammer stuff. Darktide sounds pretty good. I'm looking forward to it. next year. After nearly a year of waiting, it is almost time. New World will be playable again very, very soon. Closed beta starts next week on Tuesday, July 20th and runs until August 2nd. This test, which is more of a sneak peek for the upcoming launch, will include every major update that's come to the game since the preview event in August 2020. So there's some brand new high-level zones like Reekwater and Ebon Scale Reach. With these brand new areas also come an assortment of new enemies to fight. They've done various improvements to the game's AI in general, making fighting more interesting, also adding different affixes and higher rarity enemies. We've had the addition of instant dungeons, which they call expeditions, that provide challenging group-focused content. It is the usual MMO fare. You'll go in, clear some trash, solve a few puzzles, and then fight a couple of bosses for loot. Last time I saw, they were aiming to launch the game with 5 dungeons. As of this point, I'm pretty sure we've heard about just 3 of them. There's the new Outpost Rush PvPvE mode. So this is a battleground where 2 teams of 20 fight each other and try to collect points by upgrading these outposts, gathering resources, capturing objectives, and defeating enemy AI. This looks to be a nice alternative to the larger scale 50 vs 50 territory wars that were kind of infrequent, or the open world PvP that the game has. They've also done various improvements and changes to the game's combat, like faster weapon swapping, better hit detection. They added combo chains for the basic attacks. They've also adjusted how stamina works. There have been questing improvements. There are more quests. They even added voice acting for the main story quest line. There have been the addition of more life skills like fishing, as well as improvements to housing. Basically, as I've covered a lot here on the channel, there have been a ton of updates and new stuff added to the game since the last time many of us have played, which was, again, last August. So there's going to be a lot to see here in this sneak peek right before launch. Now, at the moment, there are going to be 2 ways to access the closed beta. You can register on their website for a chance to be invited, and then they'll be randomly selecting from that pool and sending out codes in regular intervals throughout the course of the beta. The other way to gain access is by pre-ordering the game, either from Amazon or Steam. This will guarantee you access. Now, like always, in this kind of a situation, if you'd like to try the game without risking your money, you can always pre-order, play the beta, see what you think, and then if you don't like it, just get a refund before the game launches. That is absolutely a possibility, as far as I know anyways. A couple of notes here quickly from the closed beta FAQ that they released this week. They say that servers are going to be located in North America, Europe, Australia, and Brazil, so keep that in mind depending on where in the world you live. There will be no NDA as well for this test, meaning that you can share, record, or broadcast anything that you play in the beta. And as expected, I don't know why this comes up every time there's a beta for the game, but no, progress is not going to carry over to the full launch. People are always wondering about this. It almost is never the case. It is very rarely the case that progress ever carries over. I can't believe this keeps coming up. Anyways, I am very, very excited to jump back into New World. I have been really waiting for this launch for a couple years now, because the launch was supposed to happen like over a year and a half ago, but we're finally here. It's finally coming. Even just the beta I'm looking forward to, and it's so much so that I gotta take it easy with the beta, because I don't want to burn myself out before launch. The game's not going to be perfect. It's got plenty of issues, and obviously we had that whole fiasco with the cash shop and microtransactions. I'm not surprised the game's getting microtransactions, but it's a bummer. It would have been nice if it hadn't had those. Anyways, regardless, New World, I have had fun every time I've played it. It might not be a perfect new MMO, but at the very least, for me, it is going to be a fun MMO to play for probably a decent amount of time. I'm honestly happy if I get more than a month out of a game nowadays, so we'll see what happens. Big news this week for ARPG fans. Path of Exile's next major update has been revealed. The Expedition expansion aims to not only shake up the game's meta, but also make Path of Exile a more challenging game in general. So they've done a ton of things. They've added brand new mechanics. There's this new gear stat called Ward. There are 19 new gems inspired by each Ascendancy class. There are new NPC interactions, such as gambling and haggling. They reworked the flask system to make it less spammy. They have rebalanced support gems, reducing damage by up to 40%. They made changes to movement and trigger skills, as well as numerous other quality of life improvements. Lots of stuff coming with this Expedition update, and it will be launching very soon on July the 23rd for PC, and then about a week later on the 28th for consoles. Now, to go along with this, they're also bringing back the highly requested Battle Royale mode. So originally, this was added to the game as an April Fool's joke. It's something that they threw together together in just one day of development a couple of years back, but a lot of people really loved it. Like, even though this was something cobbled together as a joke, people liked it a lot. So, Path of Exile Royale is going to be making its return starting this weekend with various upgrades and plans for the future. The studio says it's done a lot of development work to improve and balance the experience overall. They've added a varied terrain to make the play space more interesting and different fight locations. They've added helpful points of interest like these replenishing flask troves. There's a new Royale specific skill tree in the game. It's also going to be smaller and placed to the side of the screen so you can pick your skills without completely missing the action on the screen. They've added low-level versions of some of the game's best skill and support gems. They've improved looting, leaderboards, and spectator mode. They've also made it so that you keep your character between rounds, and winners of Path of Exile Royale will be getting a unique decoration that they can display in their hideouts. So this weekend will be the first trial run of this updated version of the mode, and it is going to continue to be available every weekend going forward throughout the entire Expedition League. Along with this, they're going to be doing patches and balance updates in the week during the off time, and then depending on how these upcoming weekend tests go and how popular this thing is, it might actually become a long-term fixture. They might actually keep this thing around. It's pretty crazy to me. The last time I played Path of Exile was 8 years ago when it first entered to closed alpha, but I haven't really touched it since. Now, I've recently been thinking about coming back to the game, specifically when we got the news that Path of Exile 2 is happening. I figured I would just wait until that came out as like a great opportunity to jump in for the first time. But I gotta say, a Path of Exile themed battle royale is very enticing to me if I can find the time in these coming months, because there's a lot of games I'm wanting to play right now. I would like to check this out. I shouldn't wait a couple months because it might be gone. I don't know. This sounds cool. I want to check it out. Path of Exile. 8 years later, huh? Who would have thought? By now, you've almost certainly heard the buzz around Final Fantasy XIV that has been growing and growing these past few weeks. Well, reports of the game's surge in popularity just keep on coming. So a few weeks back, we started seeing various popular World of Warcraft content creators on both YouTube and Twitch were growing tired of their main game WoW. They were jumping ship, giving Final Fantasy XIV a try, coming away pleasantly surprised, and resulting in many of their viewers also wanting to check out the game. Shortly after you started seeing a lot of this information pop up, the game broke its Steam concurrency record, peaking at 58,000 players in the game simultaneously. Keep in mind, that is just on Steam. The game has its very own launcher and was available on its own launcher before it ever came to Steam. So likely that concurrent number is way, way higher. In fact, at one point, there were so many new people checking out the game, they ran out of digital copies. You literally could not buy a digital version of Final Fantasy XIV. It doesn't even make sense. And this trend has continued, as just this past week, nearly every server in the game was closed to new character creation because there were just too many new players. It is kind of crazy. On one hand, I would say absolutely mind-boggling seeing this online sentiment for one MMO growing increasingly negative, then directly resulting in tangible growth for another MMO. It just goes to show you with these videos and these streams, like, this isn't just people venting about how much they hate WoW on their platforms and just like shouting into the void and it doesn't do anything. It has a actual effect on these games. But I gotta say, this stuff doesn't come out of nowhere, and for as many complaints as people may have about WoW, Final Fantasy XIV wouldn't be seeing this increase in popularity if it wasn't a great game in its own right, which by all accounts, it is. I still really haven't yet taken a serious dive into 14 myself, but I promise this is something on my MMO to-do list. I also just want to add how amazing it feels to be a fan of MMOs right now. Just last week, we had the launch of 2 new ones with Crowfall and Solo. Then we got to check out the alpha for Ashes of Creation. Next week is New World's beta. In August, Core Punk is having a beta and New World is officially launching. We've got all of this renewed hype around Final Fantasy XIV. Recently, I've actually personally been diving back into Guild Wars 2, having a good time and getting prepped for its next expansion. We also have Lost Ark coming this fall. There is just so much going on in the MMO space. Feels great, man. Really does. Quickly, too, I want to give you guys another update about Ashes of Creation. I'm not going to spend too much time on this topic, but I got to say, as I mentioned in the last episode, we had that preview event the other weekend, and then this past week, they actually kicked off the full start of Alpha 1. So this alpha is going to be live from now until August 13th, and it's meant to provide testing and feedback for many of the game's back-end and core systems, but is not meant to be a true representation of the final game in terms of its content and polish, because frankly, there's no content and no polish in this thing. I put up a pretty detailed video a couple days ago, really going in depth as to my thoughts on Ashes of Creation in its current state. I also wanted to make sure I gave a close look at everything the alpha includes, like what's in it, what isn't, what is it meant to be, what isn't it meant to be. I think probably though the biggest takeaway that I hope people get from my video is just a clear idea of what you'll be getting if you plan to spend the large amount of money required to try Alpha 1. You should not go into this thinking you're going to get a fully fleshed out game that'll be fun to play for weeks. That's not going to happen. It's not what this is. It's not what it's meant to be. It seems like what's happening here is they're really pitching Alpha 1 access as, hey, if you like us, if you're interested in our game and want to support it with this $500 package, we will let you test out some systems and give some early feedback. That is not a value judgment. That is just an explanation of the situation. All of you probably knew that anyways already. So next story, I would say would be a big and concerning bit of news if it weren't for the fact that it's coming from Stadia. So the platform that promised to be the Netflix of gaming that most of us have forgotten by now is trying to ruin our video games. Yes, that's right. Reports came out this week that Google has shifted the platform's business model to now pay studios based on how long they keep players engaged. Of course, the concern with this type of monetization is that it will incentivize developers to add systems and mechanics that artificially inflate playtimes by trying to get people to log in on more regular basis and stay for longer amounts of times. What we're talking about here is all of the FOMO-inducing methods that, yes, admittedly are already all over gaming, while they may start to become even worse. Things like battle passes that pretty much require daily logins if you want to unlock every tier, free rewards just for logging in every day, or daily quests that reset every day. As someone who has been steeped in MMOs and loot games for a long time, I can tell you this is probably one of the worst trends to come out of these genres. At this point, battle passes in particular are in like every single game in every single genre. I was amazed when I booted up Magic Arena for the first time that my damn card game even had a battle pass in it. It is inescapable. But it could get even worse with moves like this. Fortunately though, at least for now, it's just Stadia. So who really cares? Oh, and by the way, I know I just joked about Stadia wanting to be the Netflix of gaming, but funny enough, this week we learned Netflix is trying to be the Netflix of gaming. They're getting heavy into game development and offering games on their platform. So that's something. I got a couple other quick bits of news here before we wrap things up. First up, Blizzard has posted an update this week going over some of the things that they learned from Diablo 2 Resurrected's last alpha test. They've taken a lot of the feedback they got and had various quality of life and technical improvements made to the game, and they will be testing these changes during the early access beta, which is currently planned for August, so keep an eye out for that. And then also, I wanted to mention this game, Dysterra. So this is an upcoming multiplayer survival sandbox game. I know how much you all love those. I haven't talked much about it because I don't know much about it yet, but from the footage that I've seen, it looks like it could be kind of cool. So I'm going to plan to spend some more time learning about this and maybe do some further coverage down the road. Right this second though, they are running a beta test for the game from now until July 20th, so it's not very long, but if you want to check it out, you can request access for that over on their Steam page. And with that, that is going to do it for this week's PC gaming news. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate the support. You guys have been great, and you seem to like this series, and I've been enjoying it. This is actually really nice. It keeps me afloat. I get to do all this research about all these different games coming out. I'm like aware. It's like, yeah, I make videos about gaming. I know about gaming. This helps me know about gaming. So this series, it might help you, but it also really helps me, and that's really awesome. All right, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Appreciate you. I'll see you next time.